Good evening. Welcome to the October 18th, 2023 meeting of the Gaithersburg Planning Commission. Thank you all for being here. Thank you all for being here. First up is approval of minutes from a few of our past meetings. This is one at a time. Is there a motion or any questions, first of all, on any of the minutes?
No.
Okay. Then is there a motion, please, on the August 2nd, 2023 minutes?
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the minutes of August 2nd, 2023 as read on the record.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That passes unanimously. September 6th, 2023.
Go ahead.
Okay. Mr. Chair, I move that we approve the minutes from the September 6th, 2023 Planning Commission meeting. I'm sorry. I'm thinking about work.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That passes unanimously. And the minutes from October 4th, please.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the minutes of October the 4th, 2023 as read into the record.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor, please say aye.
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 I abstain.
Sorry. So 301 for the October 4th minutes. All right. A little bit of that administrative stuff out of the way. That takes us to our public hearing agenda. And there's one of those this evening for ASDP-9629-2023 to adjust the lot lines at 103 and 203 Spectrum Avenue in the MXD mixed-use development zone. This is an amendment to the schematic development plan. And presenting Jasmine, or staff is presenting from same staff. Thank you.
Good evening. This is a public hearing on amendment to schematic development plan application ASDP-9629-2023 for the properties located at 103 and 203 Spectrum Avenue. As shown on the monitor, the subject properties are located within the Spectrum development. The applicant is requesting to amend previously approved schematic development plan application SDP-9269-2022 to adjust property lines. On November 7th, 2022, the Mayor City Council approved SDP-9269-2022 for a 230-unit multifamily building and consolidation of two developed lots to accommodate the project. The application was presented to the Mayor City Council as a courtesy review during their September 18th meeting. The Council deemed the application to have a minor effect and directed the Planning Commission to hold a public hearing and make a final decision on the amendment. The hearing was duly advertised on the October 5th and October 12th issues in the Washington Post and published on the city's website on October 3rd. At the present time, there are 8 exhibits in the files. The individual exhibits may be reviewed on the city website and at City Hall during regular office hours. Any objections to the receipt to any exhibit should be noted prior to the closing of the record, otherwise they'll be deemed received in evidence. And this evening I have Matt Walters, the applicant here, who's going to do the presentation.
Great. Good evening.
Good evening. Shouldn't take too long anyway. I have like 3 or 4 slides here. So just to refresh everybody, this is the project here. It's in the Spectrum Town Center, just to the north of Paramount West and East buildings. And this is what we're asking for. So we have been going back and forth with the final site plan. I hope to be in front of you again shortly with that. But before we did that, we had to adjust some lot lines because the building and some windows were within 10 feet of some of the property lines. Now, we own, in every case here to the north, west, and south, we own both sides of that property line. So it's pretty simple on our end to do this. And that's basically it. These are the changes, and then on the left, it's what's approved. On the right is what we're asking for. Clean version.
Understood. And those lot lines are probably a legacy to a previous project that you had laid out, right? I mean, that was
The 103 and 203. Yes, that was when it was approved for office and for a bank pad.
right.
But the one to the south, that's a Paramount West property, BPTC 1. Let's see the pointer. That's this line here. And then here, this backs up against the Stream Valley buffer.
Yeah, I guess my point was there was no physical constraint that generated those first property lines that were somewhat arbitrary because you were looking to carve up
Correct.
great lots.
Yes, correct.
But they weren't constrained by either, like you said, an adjacent property owner or anything else, really?
No.
Okay. All right. Any
Does
questions?
this change the connectivity, the proposed connectivity between the two buildings in terms of positioning or anything like that?
No, the building is not changing at all from what we had before.
So the bridge, there was a common bridge, I believe, or something along those lines?
It's still there.
Still there?
Yeah,
And
same-
that doesn't change it at all?
It may have shifted a little bit, but not because of the property line.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions?
No.
All right, is there anyone in the audience that would like to comment on this application? All right, seeing nobody, Jasmine, what's the recommendation? Actually, let me say this, if there's anybody online, and I don't see any attendees logged in right now, so playing the message is probably not gonna do any good. So I will assume that nobody's there. However, if somebody is intending to comment on this application and you're online, feel free to log in so you show up on the attendees list and raise your hand and we'll recognize you. But for the moment, then let's go to the recommendation.
So I have two motions.
Okay.
So the first one is staff recommends that the planning commission close the record for application ASDP-9629-2023 and proceed with final action. And staff recommends that the planning commission, based on the exhibit submitted, applicant's testimony, and staff report findings and recommendation, approve amendment to schematic development plan ASDP-9629-2023 and adopt resolution finding in compliance with section 24-160D.10B with two conditions.
Great. And I'll note that those two conditions are kind of carryover from the first time we looked at this. So we're still looking to get those resolved before final site plan, right?
Yes.
Okay. Any questions on the recommendation?
Nope.
No.
All right, and I don't see yet anyone.
I have a question. I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry. So would you please come up to the podium then? And introduce yourself and your address or neighborhood if you're not comfortable giving your address, please.
Yes, Sharita Burrell, and I'm in that neighborhood in Spectrum neighborhood. Just have a question. Will there be more retail stores?
No, this is just an apartment building.
Okay. That's all I had. Thank you.
Thanks for coming. Appreciate that. All right. Any other, I don't see any hands up online. Any concerns with the proposal for the property line?
No.
Everyone.
Good
housekeeping.
Or housekeeping item?
Yep.
Okay, I like that. Good to keep the house kept or something. All right. Is there a motion, please? Actually, there's two. We need to
Right.
close the record independently of
Yep.
the plan itself. Okay, please.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we close the record for applicant ASDP 9629-2023 and proceed with the final action.
Second.
It's moved in second, and all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That record is closed. That passes unanimously. And is there a motion, please, on the amendment?
Mr. Chair, I move that based on the exhibit submitted, applicant's testimony, and staff report, findings and recommendations, approve amendment to schematic development plan ASDP-9629-2023 and adopt resolution finding it in compliance with sections 24-160D.10 subparen B with the two conditions. Do we need to read those in, or that because they were there before, we don't need to, right? Okay.
Second.
It's moved in second, and all in favor, please say
Aye.
Opposed? That passes unanimously. Thanks very much.
Thank you very much.
All right, that takes us to our public hearing agenda, and there is one of those, or, excuse me, site plan
Site
agenda.
plan.
There are two of those. First up is SP-9618-2023, demolition and rebuild of single-family detached house at 434 Gaither Street in the R90 medium-density residential zone. Is that right? That is right.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Kennard Johnson from staff is presenting. I'm sorry, I got completely distracted here. Go ahead, sorry.
Okay. Good evening.
Good evening. Good evening.
Staff is before you to introduce final site plan application SP 9618-2023. As shown on the screen, the subject property is located at 434 Gaither Street and is zoned R90. The applicant requests approval to demolish the existing one-story single-family home and replace it with a new one-story single-family detached home. The existing structure is over 50 years old and will require review by the HDC prior to issuance of a demolition permit. As such, Staff will be recommending a second condition of approval, which was not included in the staff analysis addressing this requirement. And here we have the applicant here with me, Mr. Johnny Socia.
Yeah, Johnny Siosia. Good evening.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is the existing single-family home. Is like 640 square foot, 8 feet higher, and over 50 years old. The idea is tearing down completely and make a new one, single-family house, 2,200 square foot, 10 feet higher. We had to run in a new water line, sewer, gas line, electrical power. And we don't want to touch any, we want to leave the existing driveway. We don't want extending, we don't want to deal with the driveway. And if you change the order, the next one,
Oh, sorry. 1 second.
it's okay. And that is the new proposal. Again, we want to make a new one, 10 feet higher. On the front, we want to leave a little porch area. We want to build a little sidewall. It's going to be in concrete, 5 inches thickness, almost 20 feet length. And that is almost the house.
Okay, thank you. Anything else on the presentation or questions on the applicant's presentation? Okay. Let me clarify something. You mentioned, and I might have misheard this, and I apologize. You said the house was 10 feet higher. Is it a net?
The elevation inside.
Okay,
Right now, the existing one is only 8 feet higher,
the ceiling height.
the ceiling higher.
But,
We wanna go 10 feet higher.
Okay. Do you know the net change in the height of the building itself? So the exterior, the ridge of the roof, is it roughly the same height as the existing one, or is it taller as well?
No, it's gonna be a little bit taller.
By how much? Do you know?
It's probably like another 4 feet,
Okay.
different between whatever is right now and the new proposal.
Okay, all right, thanks for that clarification. Any other questions? Okay, tech team, please play the video for online folks that might want to comment, please.
Zoom, and you're on a desktop or a laptop, and you wish to make a public comment. We can't currently see or hear you. What you need to do, please, is wiggle your mouse around and look towards the bottom center of your screen. You should see a raise hand button. Go ahead and click on that now for us, please. Alternatively, if you've connected in via telephone, you can press *9.
Okay, so while we're waiting to see if anyone online wants to comment on this, is there anyone in the audience tonight that would like to comment on this application? Okay, please come up to the podium here and introduce yourself, and please give us your address or neighborhood if you're not comfortable with the address.
Sure. First of all, good afternoon to everybody. My name is Fernando. I live on Gaither Street, very close proximity. I think my biggest question is, there isn't a lot of detail in what exactly or like when the proposed timing is for the demolition. So being in such close proximity, is there any further detail that we will get as to when it will begin?
Okay. So go ahead and finish your questions, your testimony, and then we'll get to answering it at the end.
Yeah, I mean, that's really one of my questions is there like a proposed timing that we would know when the demolition would start?
Okay. Anything else? And so
I guess my other question is, considering it's a demolition, I mean, it sounds very ominous, right? So like, in terms of sound, is there like a limit as to when you can demolish during a day? Like, for example, you can't demolish at like 10 p.m. at night or 6 a.m. in the morning or 5 a.m. So I think that's another question I had is in terms of like the sound or when you guys would actually demolish, when would that be? So that was
okay. We'll get staff to answer you on some of that as well. Anything else?
No, that's all for now.
Okay. Let me get all the questions and we'll answer them at the end.
Okay, cool.
Thank you. Anyone else that would like to comment on this application? Okay. All right, seeing no one in person, and I don't see any hands up online. So, Greg, anybody,
Excuse me, hand just went up.
oh, hand did go up. Okay, I'm sorry. Susie Ward, please. Can you hear us, and can you go ahead and say something so we know you're there?
Yes, I can hear you. I live at 437 Gaither Street, just down the street. I just, when I looked, maybe I looked in the wrong place, but when I tried to look this project up, I couldn't see where it was. Can you tell me exactly where I can find this on the city website?
Okay. Well, we'll
This
answer
project.
that. Anything else?
Well, because I didn't see where it was, I didn't look at it, so I don't really have very many questions. That house has been vacant for years, so it probably does need to be demolished because it would probably take too much work to try to restore it. It probably is inhabitable, actually. I don't know. So his plan sounds, on the surface, sounds good, and it'll be better for the neighborhood.
Okay. Anything else?
And that's all, thanks.
Okay, thank you. All right, is there anyone else online? I don't see another hand up. So let's attack the questions. First up, timing for the demo schedule and what restrictions there are for time of day when that can happen. Anybody want to jump in on that?
The city does have restrictions. I don't know what they are off the top of my head. Obviously, we would not be allowing demolition at 10 p.m. in the evening.
No, there is a noise ordinance in place,
Right.
and actually, even for those trying to run a lawnmower, you are limited essentially before 8 or 9, depending on the day of the week, and not after sundown either.
Okay.
So it's fairly strict in that regard.
And if any of the neighbors have concerns about what they're
They
hearing,
can reach out to the city and we will look into it.
neighborhood services? Is that-
Yep, neighborhood services.
Okay, so you
That's
have-
enforced by a citation.
Okay. And I guess for the applicant, what is your, and you don't have to be that specific, but generally speaking, what do you think the duration of demo is and when you might start?
Well, it's a small house. It's like 600 square footage, so I believe it's gonna be like 3, maybe 4 hours to make the demolition. I'm sorry. And
Okay.
we'll probably start like 9 o'clock, maybe 10 o'clock in the morning, and probably done in another 4 hours.
Okay.
And the idea is bring few downstairs and throw everything in the downstairs. And I don't think we don't have to make too much noise. That is the idea.
Okay. And then roughly speaking, how long would construction take for the new house?
Well, it depends because we try to make the foundation before winter, and as soon as we build the foundation, the new foundation, it probably take like 4 or 5 months to build it.
Okay.
We had to make special orders in trosas, joists, and probably that one take like 3 or 4 weeks to get it. So, but that is the idea, build it in between 4 to 5 months,
Okay.
roughly.
All right. Thank you. And if you would, explain where the neighbors can see the plans posted, please.
Yeah, all the plans are posted on the actual meeting center
Right.
on the website. So if you go to tonight's meeting on the city's webpage, under the meeting center, it will have all the attachments for the item,
And
which
they're
include
linked
the
there.
proposed plans. Yes.
And that'll stay there even after tonight. So
Correct.
you can go back and reference the files and reference the notes about the project. Okay. All right.
I think somebody else has his hand in the back.
Is there someone else that wanted to speak? Oh, please, come on.
I did have a follow-up question.
That's fine. Yeah, come on up. We just need to get you on the microphone and identify yourself again, please.
Yeah, my name is Fernando, and I live in very close, I mean, I want to emphasize that I live in very close proximities, which is the only reason why I'm bringing up such, I guess, such questions. But with the demolition, is there anything that, being in such close proximity, that we need to do? Like, for example, would we need to leave,
No.
being in such close proximity?
No,
Or like leave the premises or anything like
No.
that? Okay.
no.
And considering you don't have an exact, or actually, never mind. I think you suggested where the details for the demolition would be. So
Yeah.
I think that was all. I had.
Okay, thank
Yeah.
you. All right. Is there anyone else that would like to comment? All right. What's the recommendation, please?
Sure. Staff recommends that the Planning Commission, based on the exhibit submitted, the applicant's testimony, and the staff report, findings and recommendation, grant SP 9618-2023 rebuild of a single-family dwelling, find it in compliance with Section 24-170 and Section 24-171 of the City Code with 2 conditions of approval. The applicant must submit revised plans to address minor drafting errors and the discrepancy between the elevations and site plan prior to issuance of any permits. And the new condition, the applicant must submit for HDC review for the demolition permit prior to issuance.
Will you, and I'm sorry, I'm scrolling here real quick, so maybe you can just tell me, will you also review landscaping plans for this?
I don't believe so, but
There were none proposed. Normally, we don't unless they're proposed. There's no really requirement for single-family housing to do a landscape plan.
Okay. I think, well, it's up to the commissioners here, but I think it would be good, given it's an infill site, that we see that there's at least some intention for
To make it harmonious.
a finished
to-
landscape for
yeah.
the site.
Right.
If that, I would recommend that we just make that a third condition, that they provide a landscaping plan prior to the issuance of the permit.
I like that.
Is that okay?
Yeah.
Any
I'll go
other
for it.
issues? questions?
And just, I mean, we only see this first condition, make sure the other 2 are added, so people can go online and see it as well. Okay.
So we've got 3 conditions.
Three
Yeah.
conditions, right. My question is there any requirement by the city to put some fencing around it during the reconstruction and
Good
demolition
question.
to help the neighborhood and the neighbors, the immediate neighbors, to keep them from walking on it or getting involved in that?
Yeah, I mean, there's
Safety.
requirements as part of the demolition permit
Yeah.
that our permitting department will make. I'm not sure if there's fencing requirements necessarily, but again, we do want to make sure it's a safe site.
Right, and it's going to take 4 to 5 months, as the applicant stated, that those supplies may be sitting around for a while, and, you know, it's a urban neighborhood. I want to make sure that that's taken care of.
I do have some concern with adding the landscaping condition if that is not what we do for single family. I think the condition could be a suggestion, and it could even be a suggestion to work with staff, which may get you to the same point, but also avoid putting on a condition that normally we would not do for a single
That's not a
family.
past practice, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, we have responsibility for site development
Right.
plans, right, which is a fairly open concept, and then the medium density zone is pretty, limited in its text. There isn't a lot there, right?
Right.
So if we're responsible for the site development plan without criteria that goes behind it, I'm not sure precedence is necessarily the
Okay.
most important thing. But you should tell me, not me telling you.
I'd like it to say that applicant work with staff to establish
Mhm.
a landscape.
I think that's your
plan.
Yeah,
goal.
I like that.
Yeah. All right, so we've got 3 conditions. One is about drafting errors, which you've already read into the record. The second was that this be reviewed by the HDC prior to demolition for historic significance. Is that the
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the third is that the staff, applicants to work with staff to develop a landscape plan, finished landscape plan.
Good.
Okay.
Yes.
Anything else?
No.
All right, is there a motion, please?
Mr. Chairman, I move that the planning commission, based on the exhibits submitted, the applicant's testimony, and the staff report, findings and recommendation, grant SP 961H-2023, final site plan, finding it in compliance with section 24-170 and 24-171 of the city code with the 3 conditions as previously read into the record.
Second.
Moved and seconded, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That passes unanimously. Thanks.
Thank
Good
you.
luck. Appreciate
Good
it.
luck.
Good evening. Thank you.
Redevelopment. That's good.
That takes us to site plan AFP-9667-2023, reapproval for the parking lot modifications at 838- and through 934 West Side Drive in the R20 medium density residential zone. This is an amendment to final site plan, and presenting from staff, again, Jasmine for us.
Good evening. So staff's before you to present amendment to final site plan application AFP-9667-2023. The applicant's requesting reapproval for parking modifications for the existing parking lot at Brighton West Condominium 3. As shown on the screen, the property is located at 934 West Side Drive in a zone R20. The application comes before the Planning Commission in accordance with Section 24-172A, which requires the Planning Commission to grant amendments to approve final site plans. The original amendment to final site plan application AFP-1892-2013 was approved by Planning Commission on March 20th of 2013. The approval expired on March 20th, 2016, prior to any initiation of any work was done. So as part of the application, the applicant is requesting a parking waiver for a drive aisle that will not meet the required 60-foot two-way module. The Planning Commission has the authority to approve parking waivers pursuant to Section 24-22A. And I have Christopher Rivera, who's here to do the presentation this evening.
Great, thanks. Good evening.
Good evening. We currently have 92 spaces for 49 homes. And all we're doing, there's an island that actually could take up 18 spaces. We're looking to cut into the center, put 6 spaces in, and a safety wall.
What, since this was approved so long ago originally, what was the delay, or what was?
The board didn't have the funds, is what I was told. The prior management company didn't do it. The board didn't do it. So the board president moved, and then we had gotten the property restriped. What ended up happening was when you were restriping to get every home 2 houses, every 2 spaces, the striping fell in within the city ordinance is 9 feet, and they would be at 8 foot 8 inches, 8 foot 6 inches.
Sure.
So to give everybody that lives there 2 parking spaces that own those homes, we had to cut into the island. So this got brought back up. We looked at it, ran over it to make sure it still stayed with code. Everything looks good.
Okay, so it's the same as the original scheme, it's just it was
Exact
delayed
same.
because of funding or whatever, something else.
Correct.
Okay.
It was funding.
Fair enough. All right. Any other questions?
Does the double striping as required by the city now take away any more space from the current 92 spots? And does that create?
If we have the double space, none of them are double spaced anywhere, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, all those neighborhoods. This plan's calling for double striping in there, we're gonna put the double striping in that section. We're not changing.
Okay.
Yeah, and double striping doesn't
diminish the size
It's
of it.
measured from the mid.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
It just forces you to be a little more careful about
Yeah.
how you center your.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other questions from? All right. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to comment on this? Sure. Come on up. Yeah, absolutely. And you've heard me say, but just introduce yourself, please, and what street or what neighborhood you're from.
Sure. Good evening. Thank you. My name is Joy Lang. I am on the board of directors for the Brighton West Condominium Section 2. I am here also with my fellow board members and management company, and also representing our homeowners, who some are in the audience today. I would just like to point out a few concerns with this because we have not ever been apprised of this project, this proposal, and only about a week ago did we receive the notice for this public meeting today. So we really, have not seen the plans, and then some other concerns we have is, on the feasibility, whether it might impede traffic, snow removal, trucks, utilities that might go through. And then also the main concern is we, Section 2 and Section 3 share this area here, and Section 2, we have a row of homes with homeowners that do not have any parking in front of their units. All of that belongs to Section 3. So, our proposal was, our ask of Section 3 is whether we would be able to, if they're able to do this project, if we could have parking, at least one space for each of our units in that section. And then also we would like to ask if we could have the commission revisit and look at the original plats for our homes. And, I firmly believe that when the developers made these homes that they would not have designed them with the units not having parking in front of their own houses. Right now we share our spaces with another section, and we have had to move our residents to park, a lot further away from their homes. So, we just would like to ask if we can if the commission can maybe hold off on their decision so that we could, review the plans and maybe discuss further with the city on some of these concerns. So, thank you.
Thank you. So we'll get to answering that because it sounds like there's going to be some discussion there. Anybody else that would like to comment or testify in this application? Okay. Let's take a step back because I want to understand better what the ownership structure is and how the parking is allocated and how the Section 1, Section 2, Section 3, how all that's laid out and what the implications are of this change versus the existing condition.
So I don't know if you can see, so there's 5 condominiums and each have their own property. So the property that's outlined in red that's for condominium 3.
Okay.
So they own it, they maintain it.
Is there shared access?
Now, I'm not aware of any documents between the condominiums where parking should be shared.
But physically?
Yeah.
I mean, is there shared access just in practical terms?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
I have some questions.
So go ahead.
Okay.
Finish with the boundary thing.
No, you go ahead. You go.
Well, go ahead and finish.
Yes. Pull it back up because I want to understand this, the adjacency and how this is carved up.
See, I'm not aware of any sort of shared access to parking. I'm just aware that each condominium has their own property and that's where their folks are parking.
So in that diagram, that area, where is Section 2 relative?
Section 2's over here.
Okay.
And you can't see, but they're very oddly shaped. We probably wouldn't do it today. How to subdivide this today.
Okay.
We can see subdivision 2 kind of goes up and over and grabs a couple of spaces into condominium 1.
Okay.
So actually condominium 2 is.
And then they put lines that divide this section from this section. So when you look at in the red, currently right now, that is all of Brighton 3's parkings. It's been that way at least 10 years. And in Brighton 5, from the red line down, had the same thing. They moved theirs around, but it's the way it's broke up into property plat, right? So who's for each HOA.
Okay.
So if you look at I guess on this one would be north, it would be 2, right? And they cut the island up there so they could get more parking. It's that little square you see at the top.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And that's where we were proposing in the red area on that line, was just to add spacing there so we can get the homeowners that own the homes there.
Jocelyn, if you go to Exhibit 153 in the packet.
What's
You're-
the number of the?
It's 4.B.D, but it's 153 in the,
It's part of exhibit number 3,
3, okay.
and it's the map.
Oh, you say exhibit 3?
it's, sorry, it's
Yeah,
in,
150.
it's in the,
It was exhibit number 3.
it says attachment exhibit number 3, waiver request letter, yeah.
Oh, yeah, the waiver request.
And it's about 3 pages in.
Oh, okay.
It's the map,
And it's
that one.
packet page 153, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the part.
And then if you could, once you get it up, Johnson, you just show us that border and how it goes right up and along the parking edge, and then up to the east property line.
That's the main.
So
Right.
this here.
It goes right along the back side of that parking and then up to the property line. You see that?
Yeah.
So that's why all that parking actually belongs to the other community, and it sits in front of houses that are on lot 2, and has since the year I was born, which is a long time.
And for context, in that map right there, the proposed changes is that Long Island kind of on the.
Right there.
Exactly.
Yeah, just to add 6 spaces.
Okay.
Are they parallel or tandem, the spaces?
They're gonna be,
They're neither.
Perpendicular.
They're pulling.
I mean, if they want to add more, I don't know how that would work, within the
Standing
plot
space.
of owning his parking
Okay,
spaces.
so staff, I want you to paraphrase this for me, but what I'm seeing is that the proposed changes are well within the boundary of the ownership of this property, and to the extent that those add spaces they add spaces, but they don't take away anything that's existing.
No, that's
Correct.
correct.
So I guess I'm sympathetic with the concerns that there's some potential for shared parking, or at least the desire for it, but we don't have any jurisdiction over requiring that it be that the property has to be reestablished. The condom regime was established years ago, and unless there's somebody petitioning for a change, we can't impose that simply because somebody is doing improvements on their property. Is that fair?
I do want to note that was discussed back in 2013, and it was more of condominiums need to go back and work.
But as a courtesy,
Yeah.
I mean, was it discussed with the community? I mean, that's the thing. I mean, it's always contentious when you live, in close proximity and that kind of thing. I lived in a townhouse community, and parking was always an issue. But I mean, just to allay concerns with communities and neighbors. I mean, this is a neighborly kind of thing. So, was there a conversation or reaching out to individuals?
There was a conversation among the board, because they owned the property, was to expand it and add more parking. But it came to a unanimous vote of no.
But did they share it with the community? That's the thing.
I don't know. I don't think anybody sat down and sent the map. This was done early, so I don't think so.
Okay. But I think to address the specific questions, the expansion or the modifications of the traffic island don't change the traffic pattern or the flow through the property, or what would ultimately be the route that the snow plows or any maintenance trucks would use to maintain the property.
Correct.
And the issue of needing parking within the boundaries of the property, there's nothing we can really do about that except recommend that there be more conversation to look at shared or cross-access parking agreements, because replatting would be on the owners of the properties. It'd be their responsibility to petition for that, which is certainly possible, but they would have to get together as property owners and decide they wanted to reapportion how the property is divided, not something we could mandate. But I would recommend that whoever's concerned about the parking distribution or availability, this is something you really do need to engage in between the boards to figure out if there is a scheme by which you can share or have cross access. But with a property boundary, we can't reach across that boundary and say you have to do this. It's just not something we would be able to do.
We should find out who the planning commission staff were 53 years ago. Chew them out because they did a poor job.
Well, yeah, it's hard to say.
It wasn't developed. It wasn't developed for two people, two parking, two cars.
No, but I'm chastising,
I agree.
people from a long, long time ago for a very poorly drawn property line.
All right.
And I mean, you're being a little glib, but you're being very serious. When we make these deliberations, when we talk about these things, we really need to think about the long-reaching effects of things, because this is how you get here, and we want to avoid that.
Yep.
Now, one small consolation I think I can add to the analysis is that at least by adding parking to any of these properties, this one in particular, you're taking a little bit of pressure off whatever inclination there was for parking to happen across the property line, which may, have been a source of concern as well. It's a small consolation, I recognize that, but at least it's moving in the right direction. I don't know, staff, is there any opportunity that you all could meet with the boards and look at other opportunities on the site that might be in the form of taking back island space or edges? And
I know the city's been in communication about this. We're aware of the concerns from the community. Unfortunately, to this point, though, there's nothing we've been able to do that's been able to resolve the issue.
Well, keep the door open.
Yeah, we're happy to continue the conversation.
And to the board members, if you're here, tap the staff for expertise and potential for how you might creatively solve either more parking or distributed parking or some other scheme that might help relieve some of these concerns. I know they'd be happy to help, to whatever extent. Well, our record's not closed. I see a hand up. Okay, please. Again, please say your name and.
All right, so my apologies. I'm Scott Wortley with Vista Management. I manage Section 2.
Okay.
Just want to give some clarification. I know he's the gentleman who works with Sections 3 management. Can you just show us, because I know that this goes back to 2013, these volunteers were not on the board at that time.
Sure.
It was self-managed community at that time. I'm sure the conversation was with prior boards. Can you show us exactly which side of the island is being proposed to do the construction?
The island's right here. It's actually,
The better picture was the first one you had, which had the nice colors and everything. That was a really good picture. Because I want to make sure the commission understands which row of townhomes is Section 2. Excellent, excellent.
So this is the island.
Right.
Yeah.
So so on the right side of the island, where it says 818, that's all Section 2 homes.
Yes.
And all of those parking spaces in front belong to Section 3. And at one time, there was a shared parking program in place that was unfortunately not, I want to say weren't taken back, but it was unfortunately, it's no longer the situation. I think it's been that way for a while. But give me one second.
I'm a resident there.
No,
Wait,
excuse
please.
I won't take too much time. But I just was concerned that of which side of the island, on the left side is all of Section 3 homes. And I'm assuming that's the side that's being modified?
So address us, or you're
Oh,
asking.
so the question is, which side of the island is being modified? Because one side would affect Section 3 and one side would affect Section 2.
Anything else you want?
Yes. So I don't know if there ever was any kind of traffic or safety analysis done, because that is already tight. We all deal with snow removal all the time. Emergency vehicles, there's no way they're getting around there right now. They're barely, because people double park, and there's constant traffic going through there. So I don't know if there's any kind of analysis on the emergency vehicles with any with the city of Gaithersburg or with local.
That's a fair question.
And I can tell you, we all share that drive, the main drive in off West Side Drive, when it comes to trash removal, snow removal, school buses, all this stuff. Adding parking takes away not only green space, but it takes away a lot of access and a lot of safety issues on my part, on my concern. So those are some more questions.
Sure, okay, so we'll get those answered. I guess on the first one about access, the parking is fully embedded in the island, so any clearances for drive aisles is whatever it is today. Now, double parking, that's a different issue.
Yeah, that's an enforcement issue.
They double park now on that island, but they still get a car around, but you can never get an emergency vehicle. That's why they want the parking for the residents.
You can see on the screen, the 6 parking spaces are built within the island.
They're fully embedded in
Yeah.
there. Okay.
So they're not going to encroach into the drive aisle. So that's why back in 2013, as part of their approval, they requested the waiver, because at the time when these plans were approved, this didn't meet our drive aisle dimension requirements.
But it doesn't because the island is there,
Yeah,
not because of these parking spaces. Okay. All right, I think I had a hand up here, please.
Okay, first off, I live in one of
Could you
those.
say your name, please, for the record?
Oh, sorry. Tom Gillian. I live at 830. That's one of the houses that backs onto 270 and has no parking space in front of it. Now, we didn't learn till 10 years ago that there was that parking lot belonged to a different section. For 30 plus years, almost 35 years, we'd always had a parking space in front of us. Now, I approve of the idea of putting parking spaces in that island, but I don't know why we're stopping at 6. Could we work out something?
Okay, so go ahead and finish your comments. 'Cause
Work out something, make that 10 instead of 6. We pay for the extra 4, and then get 10 back from for the houses on that row.
Fair enough.
And we can provide them with 6 spaces that are, I probably can't see them, but they're just beyond that divider.
So this is exactly, I love where you're going with this.
Yeah.
And this is exactly what I was recommending, is that you work with staff to
Yeah.
develop a scheme that might be workable, and they would be able to help you navigate what that means, whether it's shared access, some sort of a contribution
Exactly.
to cost,
We
whatever
could
it is.
have-
But we can't do that tonight.
Okay.
We have to look at the plan as it stands tonight.
If I could add to that, if the commission is willing, if you could delegate that to the staff to handle as staff
Okay.
approval, because it will require an amendment to the plan to add those additional parking spaces. The planning commission has the authority to delegate certain actions to the staff to review and approve. So again, if you would delegate it to us, it'd be easier, we could work with them on that amendment if the two groups can come together.
Okay.
So
Can
approve, so leave loose the number of spaces and dimensions in there, but approve the waiver for the 21.8
Yeah, because tonight,
feet or
obviously what's
whatever.
before you tonight is this, I think, 6 spaces that's on the
Yes.
application. So again, if the planning commission decides to approve that application, that is what we approved. We would need a new amendment to the plan, obviously, to add the additional 8 spaces or whatever they can get that fit in there. And again, if it's delegated to staff, we can handle that at an administrative level.
Okay, sounds good. Anything else?
Oh, no, that's all.
Okay, thank you. Is there anyone else that would like to comment on this application? Okay. Oh, yes, please, come on up into the podium.
My name is Julian Bissawio. I live in section 2. I don't know what happened there. I bought my house there in 2006. All today, no parking. I park it way across the street. And I walk and I come from my door. This section 3, they park in front of my door like this. I come and do like this. To get out, my daughter, Dialis, she come from Dialis, she park way in the street. To walk to come home, she fell in the concrete. Had to rush her to hospital. Been in hospital for almost 30 days. Through for 4 in the concrete for the dialysis. My own house, I pay tax for it. Your own house, you come out, you can't park in front. You come from grocery store, you can't park. Time you park, I take all picture here like I put in the camera, you can see all. Your own house, you pay for it. Why? They have their own parking. It's but they can like give one. It's front out the one. It's okay, man. No, you have to park way across the street, and you pay for condo fee. You pay for the tax. What benefits he gonna get? All this section 3, they have a 2 parking, 2 parking, 2 parking. Man, I pay house not having no one. And now I'm so with my daughter. She walk on one hand like this because she fall in the concrete. She have a stroke for the fall. Please, like you don't want to give her parking, just give me my money for my house. I get out. Or you want to give them the parking for section 3? Broke the house down. It's 10 house. Broke down, you give them to do the parking. I don't, please, can you do something by the parking front the outdoor? give on one. All of them have a parking, section 3 have a parking. But extra parking, they took our house, make it for extra parking for them. It's too much. Too much, please. I beg you. Anyway, I lose my life with my daughter, no more for me.
30 seconds.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, is there anyone else that would like to comment? All right, I think this is where we are. We have, well, actually, Jasmine, go ahead and read the recommendation, please.
Okay.
Or did you already? We opened it up.
I haven't yet.
Okay.
Staff recommends that the Planning Commission, based on the exhibits submitted, the applicant's testimony, staff report, staff findings and recommendation, grant AFP-9667-2023 amendment to final site plan approval and parking waiver finding compliance with sections 24-170 and 24-170A of the city code with 2 conditions.
Okay, great, thanks. Anybody have concerns on the waiver for the drive aisles?
No, I think it demonstrably improves the condition, even if it's a minor improvement. Doesn't affect traffic movement, in fact, should improve it. Parking is clearly an issue, and the property lines aren't. Property is property.
Right. We can't do anything about that.
Okay. Where I think we are is to push hard. Yes. Please come up. Yeah.
Hi, my name is Mercedes Turner, and I'm on the board with the Section 2. I have just a little bit something to say from the past. In 2011, the previous management built a parking space in that circle that belongs to Section 2 that is in the, right where she's pointed?
Wait, hang on. She can get it up on the screen so we can see where you're at.
Right, that island.
In that area. She did tell us that she had approved from the city. After she built the extra parking spaces, and we were all excited in Section 2 that we can have 2 cars parking in front of in our area. Couple months later, she come and say that the city told her that she has to put the green area again. So I bring in this just to ask if it's something that we can submit again a request to see if we can actually do it. And that way, if we don't come to any agreement with Section 3, all our homeowners from that section, they can park in the area. And instead to go to the street, because we understand the situation and the inconvenient. But our hands are tied. Because we've been told, I've been living there for 36 years. And we've been told that they even went to court. I don't know if it's true. and they denied, that our homeowners can park in front of their house.
Right.
So that's something that I would plead, if you can contact us, we can leave the address and everything, and you can confirm if we can go ahead and see if we can submit a new permit to do that.
Are you pointing, just to be clear, can you, Jasmine, would you pull up the aerial again?
So it's
at the north corner. It's the north.
Let me get Jasmine to do this. So the proposal is for that center island north of the.
Yeah, so I think back in 2011, staff approved, I believe it was an amendment to final site plan to add additional parking spaces.
Okay.
In the existing
And they
island.
were built and then take it away again.
So, all right, that's a separate issue, but I think I'm really concerned that there's something going on there that we don't know about. So can staff follow up on that and straighten out what the story is for that? Because
Yeah, I mean, the aerial on the screen now is an accurate aerial, so those spaces do exist. We're happy to work with anyone if they want to add any additional parking to the property. Again, it would require a site plan amendment.
that's not the issue. I mean, I think we would promote and support more creative solutions to how this can be developed.
And leveraging the city staff's creativity.
Yeah, we're happy to work with anybody on these issues.
I think it might take you guys sketching over this plan a little bit to maybe come up with some ideas, and I'd love to see that happen. ownership issues aside, I think there's some opportunity there. So yes, we'll see if we can't get everybody together to figure that out. Yes.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Back to the application at hand. I think the proposal is to at least clear the parking waiver.
Yeah.
And just in short.
And then let staff, open this up to staff to maximize as many possible spaces as possible, and also facilitate a discussion for some cross-access, if at all possible, but certainly what other solutions there might be to crack open some parking on the site. Is that fair?
Yep. Yes.
Yeah. Yep. And on the waiver, it's 21.8 feet versus a 24-foot drive aisle, which in my opinion, in a residential where you're parking in the same spot or near the same spot every day, it's very easy to sort of adjust your turning radiuses to a smaller drive aisle. A commercial drive aisle, I think, is very much should be 24. But
fair enough. Jasmine, you want to maybe make a pitch on what this condition looks like, or what this motion looks like?
You want to add a condition?
Yeah. Well, I'm not sure if we're adding a condition or structuring the motion a little differently. What do you think?
I don't know if we need to add a condition on this application. Again, I think
It is what
the
it
record is clear. I think that,
we want to delegate to staff an increase in parking if it.
Yeah, I don't think we need that as a condition. Again, I think just having that on the record that you've delegated that work to staff, which should be sufficient.
Okay.
Delegated.
You good with that, Frank? He's thinking.
So your approval will be for 6?
The waiver?
With delegating any additional amendments to the parking to be handled at
If
staff
that,
level.
I mean, if that's part of what the motion is, then I think that'll be fine, because then your record's pretty clear. If you approve 6 and then there's comment, otherwise, it all just needs to line up. So I would recommend, if you're approving more as it is believed or staff analyzed can be put there, so it can be an approval for 6 or more. But as long as that approval is consistent with that.
6 or more, I like that. 6 or more, and delegate to staff how to resolve.
Then I think we're fine.
But that's
The recommendation doesn't specify.
Yeah, it doesn't
though.
specify that, so that's an additional condition or a modification to.
That's what we're saying. We got to modify the
we gotta
motion.
modify it. Yeah.
That is that is what I'm recommending, at least to say 6 or more.
So that nobody stumbles over the record, can one of you put together at least some draft language? We're either amending the motion or we're adding a condition.
Yes.
We just pull up the motion.
Yeah, I don't think it's a condition. I do agree with Greg on that. I think it's simply, I'm not looking at the exact wording of the motion, so if he's doing that.
Yeah, we don't reference the number of spaces in
No,
the
you
motion.
don't.
We just reference the application.
But
That's
the application shows
number.
6 specifically, so
Yeah,
I
I mean, the
want to
site plan does show the 6, and they're also restriping to get additional. So it's more than just that, those additional parts, they're restriping in other spots. But let's say if they want to add more, they'll just have to amend this plan to show the additional.
I want it more proactive. So should we do a condition where we say applicant to work with staff to increase the number of spaces? And can we
Delegate the approval for any additional
I have
spaces to
a
staff.
question. The question is that we're talking about number 3, question number 3. They're talking about number 2 and 3. And this doesn't address 2 and 3, it just addresses number 3. So shouldn't we just stay with what it is and then make a separate motion for additional, the staff look at additional opportunities within the neighborhood instead of just saying,
Well, this is related to this site plan. It is to allow, not, because I think we've got 2 different issues.
right,
That, I think staff have received the message, and that, I think we're all comfortable is
exactly
very
my point.
clearly part of the record.
Yeah.
For this approval, though, it's almost sounding like maybe adding it in as a condition, simply to say additional parking spaces
okay.
in work, are approved in working
As
with
determined by
staff.
staff.
That's certainly fine.
Okay.
So again, for the record, we need something, it's either a condition or it's a fix to this motion. Can you help me with that?
I'm comfortable with adding, just make it a 3rd condition, and it's actually not a condition of approval, it's more authorizing additional, but that's understood in reading the condition. that additional would be allowed in working
Yeah,
with
we can do a
staff.
condition maybe along the lines of the
Okay.
planning commission delegates to staff the authority to approve any amendments related to the parking lot for the
Number of
Brighton West
spaces.
community.
Okay.
You're saying the Brighton West community, so that includes both.
Well, it would be for this.
Well, for this one, as well, correct me if I'm wrong, but I was hearing for the other
Yeah.
neighborhoods as
Solving
well.
Yes,
general.
right.
But that's not, so the problem is.
That's not on the
there's
table.
something-
Yeah, right. Thank you.
So
Right.
I think the easiest way to handle this is let's just do a separate motion after this one's approved
Okay.
that delegates the authority to staff moving forward for any site plan amendments related to the parking lots for the development. or for the
Okay,
community.
Could we,
I think you can do that, but I think for this one, given what you're approving, I would still say go ahead and throw in that additional condition that we were talking about, because it's clear for this one that you're
Neighborhood.
approving tonight.
This
And then if you do want to do the separate motion to say, overall, that certainly clarifies as well.
Okay.
Just
So
trying
we're
to
gonna have a
keep it
third
straight.
condition that applicants to work with
Applicant to
staff
work with staff.
to increase the number of parking spaces.
related to this,
And and we delegating to staff the approval for that,
That's what you.
whatever those changes are.
Yeah, to be reviewed and approved by staff, that would work. yeah.
Okay, so that's condition 3. So let's get that out of the way, and then we'll do a second motion here in a second.
Yeah.
Right? All right, so, understood?
Yep.
3
Yes.
conditions? Okay, is there a motion, please?
Mr. Chair, I move that the Planning Commission, based on the exhibits submitted, the applicant's testimony, the staff report, staff findings, and the staff recommendation, grant AFP-9667-2023, amendment to final site plan approval and parking waiver, finding it in compliance with sections 24-170 and 24-172A of the City Code with the 3 conditions identified this evening.
Okay.
second,
It's moved and seconded, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That passes unanimously. Now, I'm looking for a motion to direct staff to,
I'm not gonna touch that.
He's the lawyer.
Yeah, you're the lawyer.
Justin's writing it though.
How about,
Greg said it.
a motion to delegate to staff the review of any parking amendments for the Brighton West community per section 24-172A, sub B of the city code.
okay.
So moved.
So moved.
Second,
Okay, it's moved and seconded, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That passes unanimously. Now, for
Yeah.
those looking in, the practical matter here is, please, 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 stay in touch with staff,
Yeah.
because this is gonna be a design exercise that probably won't look like a straight line at first, but will get you somewhere eventually, and that's the important thing,
That is.
all right?
And I can make myself available to anyone who's here today. You can reach out to me directly, and I'm happy to chat with you.
Okay, very good.
Good luck.
Thank you all for being here, appreciate your
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
contact with us. All right, that takes us to, from the staff, and we're gonna be doing, from the commission. Matt, can I start with you? please?
No.
Okay, Danny?
Well, as you all well know, at the Maryland Planning Commission
What? Never heard of it.
Association's 40th annual conference is coming up next week. Unfortunately, I won't be able to be there, and I feel some kind of way about that, but still, it's going to go on, and I'm so happy to...
Give me a second.
Oh, okay.
Excuse us, we're still taking care of some mundane stuff up here, so if you could take your conversations out in the hall, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Good night.
Thank you for being here, thank you. Okay, go ahead.
All right, I am excited about it, even though I won't be there. We've done a lot of planning to make this a very special event, and I am so happy that our Assistant City Attorney is going to present a very critical presentation, and I hope you all. We are going to film or to record some of it, so hopefully later, if you can't be there, you'll look at it later. But please support that endeavor if you can.
Very good. It's worthwhile.
Yeah.
All right, thank you, Danny. Lloyd, anything tonight?
just want to congratulate the staff again, the city, for putting on a fantastic Kentlands Oktoberfest. It was very well attended, weather was great, and the staff was fantastic in setting up and cleaning up, and again, very successful, and I congratulate the city on a great plan.
A really, really great use of public space,
Yeah.
and not just sort of predetermined large open space,
No.
but also typical city streets, residential city streets, and use them for festivals. It's just, it's a great planning.
Yeah, you know, it
exercise.
occurred to me during it, and I appreciate that, somebody's got to like thank the neighbors, because there were a number of homes that gave up access to their front door for the day to, you know, for that,
Yeah.
that festival to happen, so it was really nice of the
Party
neighbors
next
to
year is at
support that.
Lloyd's, evidently.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah, no problem.
I wasn't able to go, but I heard it was really nice, so.
It was a good day for it. Okay, I've got nothing to add. This takes us to from the staff, and we're going to be talking about the 2023 Planning Awards, right?
Yes,
Jasmine,
we are.
are you taking that away? Okay.
Yeah. All right, so we are here to present the winners for the 2023 Planning Awards.
Wow.
So at the last meeting, staff presented 29 nominations in 5 categories, and we asked the commissioners to kind of look through it and nominate which project I think should get an award, and we note that they didn't have to nominate for every single award, just the project that needs the award. So we tally up the votes, and we have 3 awards that we're going to give out.
That was 4. 3, okay.
So the excellence in residential development is going to be the Copley condominiums in Crown.
That's great. Congratulations.
Excellence in rehabilitation and renovation development is going to go to the Kitlands Market Square Shopping Center.
Yeah, it really was a
Really
neat,
nice.
neat intervention.
And the excellence in sustainable design is going to be Discovery Park at Quince Orchard.
Beautiful, that's great.
So what we're going to do is we're going to schedule to hold a award ceremony on November 15th prior to the Planning Commission's regular meeting.
Great.
And we're going to send invites to the project team and also extend the invite to council to
Perfect.
attend.
Okay.
So you'll take care of those invitations, right? Okay, excellent.
Super.
Good. I like that, that's great.
How efficient is that, though?
Yeah,
That
thank
was
you
like
for pulling that
3
together,
weeks.
because I think
3
when,
weeks, maybe?
Something?
I think when we first got the packet, when I first got it, I was thinking, oh, look at all this, but
Yeah.
2 observations, they were all really good projects. I mean, they're the development that's happening in this city, to the credit of both the developers and frankly staff, is always high quality. So it's a little bit difficult to want to single out any of them, but I think it's important to point at some things that could really set a great precedent moving forward. So, and you guys did a great job pulling that together.
It was a tough year to be nominated, so
A lot of
kind
competition.
of pent up demand and then a lot of great projects. Yeah.
Fairly
Not a
true.
good project.
We can offline discuss how you want the flow of the presentations to go, right? I think we don't need to do that tonight, but,
So what we can do is we'll put together a draft, like program.
okay.
Great.
And we can provide any feedback or comments. Okay.
All right, anything else you need from us?
Nope, that is it. But thank you again.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jasmine.
Any questions, concerns? Last minute dinosaur nominations that you want to?
Please, no.
No, okay. We're all set then. All right, Greg, what you got tonight?
Just a reminder that the next meeting is November 1st. And that is all I have.
Okay. Okay, good. We're polled for.
I have not polled you for the November or the December meeting yet. I will be sending that email shortly.
Okay, thank you. Frank, thanks for going to Maryland Planning Commissioners
Thank you.
Conference for us.
I think it's the 5th or 6th year,
Yeah.
but,
You know exactly how many years.
well,
Believe me for a second.
We really appreciate your support.
I don't know, you may
Believe
have
him for a
had us
second.
the first year I
Yeah,
was
I
doing
think-
it, which would be 2017,
Yeah.
and
But COVID
I'm
came
kind
in
of
the
to the
middle.
point that I don't even like to talk about how long stuff
been a
is.
year,
I remember talking about how 495 used to be busy when I was going to college, and I said, that was 10 or 20 years ago. My wife says,
It hasn't been 10 or 20 years ago for 20 years.
I think, yeah.
You forgot a decade or two.
Yeah.
Let me ask you on a serious note. I know you teach the open meetings.
Open meetings.
Regulations and laws and requirements. Has there been any substantive change to those rules or those laws in the last 4 or 5 years since you've been doing it?
The biggest change has been emails. And the board had been talking about, look, at some point, we're going to consider electronic communications, even if it's not immediately simultaneous, which is generally in the past had been the rule. Emails at some point are going to be considered a meeting. And
Oh, okay.
Interesting.
subject to the act, so be careful. And, my thing in giving the presentation is, it's not yet, but it's coming. So watch your reply all. Let's not be, I would rather not say, in giving the presentation, well, it was actually my city that I'd just rather not. It was it ended up being Talbot County, and it was a couple of years ago. The issue that caused it, I think, could have gotten it could have been us very easily, even with our advice, because the issue was not something that they were dealing with on the agenda. It was something that they were dealing with for the General Assembly, where generally in the middle of the session, if you get a delegate saying, we'll put your bill in, but we need your testimony, you've got sometimes a couple of hours to figure out, because usually it's it's a 90-day session, everything's very hectic, and this was, I believe, in March, which is when things get very busy.
Yeah.
But the board said this is a matter of public business, broad definition. We lean in the definition towards a public meeting, and you're all talking simultaneously, all this reply all. It's clear that this is an ongoing dialogue. This should have been handled in a public meeting. And it could have been, but I don't think any of us would have been thinking, not necessarily about the email issue, but for others of us, that topic being considered subject to an open meeting was as enlightening as the email. But in any event, that's how that came down, and that really is the major change. There have been other smaller changes, but that's the main one.
Can I ask a question? Because to that point, how often do you think folks should take the open meeting training? I mean, because some people,
I vote for once. It's maximum.
And you all are proving my point. Should it be like every 2 or 3 years, or every 5 years, and you don't have to answer that now. You can think about it and get back to me. But with that in mind, where there are things that new enhancements, new technology.
Well, if we need a volunteer, for,
I would say
our commission.
Yeah,
you've
got one. You've got one. I would say, to the extent it's available, if it and you haven't had it for 3 or 4 years, it's worthwhile.
Right.
I think having one. I'll say for me, it's certainly helpful to keep me up to date, because if you're giving the training, you get even more than when you're sitting there.
Sure.
The other benefit of the training is online is lovely, but the in-person trainings, the value is you get more from the audience when you're the trainer. And you find out, well, this is what we're doing, in this county, and say, well, I didn't know that. And being aware then that local condition, this is how they're operating, can be very helpful. And sometimes questions that come up,
I found that.
Just the interaction can be very helpful.
Because you did it with us, and you also did it for MML, and there were different topics that came up related to it, and I thought that was invaluable. So you need to it would be good if people took it more than once.
I can't believe there's members of the public here listening to these guys geek out on.
I'm sorry.
All right, thanks, Frank. So,
thank you.
And thanks for representing the city in that realm, because I think it's great.
In all fairness, the reason why I got certified was we wanted to do a training here in the city, and it was, they don't have trainers available, so my supervisor had a fix. I got one right here. And I agreed to do that, and but it has been, I think it was 2017. The last time, so maybe
you're now the expert.
Maybe it's coming up on
across
that.
the state.
All right, sounds good. Anything else?
Nope.
Jasmine, thank you for everything tonight.
Yes, thank you.
We're on late. All right, if there's nothing else, have a good evening. We're adjourned.